And what a beautiful representation of that image. It's such a great picture there. So we are on part 2 of our February series this morning. And before I start, our theme for the month of February is One Journey, Many Paths. Let your heart be your compass. And that is a combination of the Centers for Spiritual Living monthly theme and our own addition to it. Today's topic is let love guide your relationships even if you're not a saint. We'll start with a definition of love from a science of mind perspective and Ernest Holmes, a view of how we came to be from Thomas Troward, an inspiring quote about love from Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, and a look at what guidance is, what relationships are, what sainthood is. And we'll finally put that all together and explore how we can let love guide us in our relationships to co-create a loving world. So actually, and I didn't know this was going to happen, I quoted Dr. Ernest Holmes in the same way that Rick just read. Love, according to Holmes, is the divine givingness of spirit. He says that it is spirit's impulse to take form and have expression and have experience by means of its creations, just like Rick read. That's you and me. That's everybody. That's everything. Thomas Troward, in a book called The Creative Process in the Individual, suggests that this impulse of spirit came out of the very first thought and feeling of self-reflection. That self-reflection possibly being something like this. I wonder what it would be like to have a friend. It is his beautiful interpretation, his metaphysical interpretation of Genesis in the Bible that led to this idea that spirit created everything out of itself by self-reflection and naturally responded to that reflection by creating that idea in form. And has continued. And it continues by means of us. We experience the microcosm of that same original creative process through self-reflection and the correspondence, the response of the law of creation itself. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. once said, I decided to stick with love. Hate is too much of a burden to bear. I heard that said again yesterday and just had to include it today in my remarks. So what is guidance? Guidance is direction. So many of us use our GPSs to the point where we actually don't know how to get somewhere without them. And we use our phones to call people, no longer remembering what their numbers are. Where are we getting our direction from? This guidance, this direction is tied to motive, reason, purpose, belief, sometimes bias, often habit, and more. Where are we getting our direction from? We all have an inner guidance system that will never steer us wrong, and that is love. Are we using it? Are we using it often enough? Or do we sometimes settle for direction from other people, from other places, from other things, and have a lesser experience, end up at a lesser destination than the one that love points us to? And what about relationships? Of course, Just because it's St. Valentine's Day, just because it is a month that we focus a great deal on romantic love. Oh my goodness, there's so much more than that. And thank goodness for that. Love created everything out of itself, out of that divine givingness, out of that desire to have someone to play with, to reflect with, some way to know itself in greater ways than it could ever do in isolation, in singularity. And here we are. So all interactions with all apparent others are our relationships. They are merely a reflection of this temporary idea of two-ness. Two-ness. There's really only one life, right? One presence, one substance, one activity, one thing going on, one. And yet, to have relationship, to have reflection, to have experience which teaches, to have experience which provides contrast, to have experience which offers growth, we have the appearance of there being more than one of us. And we relate to one another. So in this finite and temporal aspect that we call human life, we have two-ness. We have the stage set as duality so that we can relate, so that we can reflect, so that we can grow, so that we can discover ourselves in greater ways and know ourselves in greater ways. And we are all one. Our February theme says one journey, many paths. That's another good way to put it. And yet, we have the opportunity to recognize that all of our relationships are based in love. All of our relationships are with other aspects of our love. Are we aware of all of the relationships that we really have? Are we conscious of how we show up for them, really? Are we conscious about how we show up for all of those relationships? The person at the gas station, the post office, the grocery store, the MD 360, right? The urgent care place, the person on the other end of the phone with customer service, perhaps at a very, very large organization that has a reputation for never getting to you. Are we bringing love into all of our relationships? Are we recognizing that love is present in everyone we meet? So sainthood, even if you're not a saint, what about that sainthood? Well, gosh, I would say that it is overrated. First of all, you have to die to be a saint. Then there's the vetting process. You have to have performed a miracle and then another one. All of this has to be deeply researched and proven. Then you can be blessed and called a saint. And by the way, along the way to becoming a saint in this framework, you're often thought of at the very least as weird, more often as downright annoying or mysterious and misunderstood, perhaps even ostracized for your strange dedication to spirituality, to love, to whatever it is that you are doing at that degree. So there's no disrespect on my part for the rich and the meaningful path of Catholicism at all. And yet I want you to know that what we teach here, while honoring all paths, is that there's an added dimension to that belief system offered. We teach and know that everyone, all caps, has access to the same qualities that make a saint, including the performance of miracles including being blessed. And no one has to be dead before this can be proven. We recognize that that same thing that Troward talked about, that caused everything to be created, is still operative in us. That we are made by that same love and that intelligence and that substance and that activity. We are microcosms of it. We are experiencers of it. We are continuations of it. And to the degree, as we always say, that we understand and know that and trust that, we too can have our miracles. We too can experience our blessings. And we too can do that while we're still here. It is up to us in our lifetimes to become more than acquainted with, in fact, intimate with, the qualities of God in ourselves and in each other, in our relationships, to commune with and to study and to practice and to live by them continually. That's our aim. And that degree of understanding and belief and receptivity that we reach in that communion and that study and that practice and that living of these God qualities will give us our miracles and our blessings. That is a promise to all of us. So just imagine with me that love wants to give, wants to be, wants to express, and wants to experience itself by means of everything, including us, you and me and everyone. Love is the impulse, the desire, the thought, the feeling, the emotion. Love is the giver and the gift. And we are love's creations, made by love, out of love, in love's image and likeness. We are designed and made and equipped to accept this invitation. All of life is designed and made and equipped to fulfill it. How much love, then, will we accept and embody? How much love will we express and share? Love is here to guide us within each of us. It never leads us wrongly. It always leads us aright. And as Dr. King said, I've decided to stick with love. Hate is too much of a burden to bear. Guidance depends on which source of direction, which motive, which reason, which purpose we choose. It's always up to us. And our outcomes, be they miracles and blessings or far less and quite the opposite, are also always up to us. We've quoted Ernest Holmes many times in saying that love points the way and law makes the way possible. Where will you get your guidance from? What will you let the law make possible for you? Let it be love. Let it be love. Thank you. So here we are. This is the time when we move into a beautiful conversation together about everything that we have heard, all that has been stirred within us, whatever we're inspired to share this morning. So thank you for choosing to be here on Zoom, and also all of you on Facebook Live, on your spiritual journeys, on your laptops and desktops and tablets and phones. Thank you for choosing to be here.